Indianapolis, the news starts now.
Jennifer Crumbley, the first parents convicted in a mass school shooting as they were sentenced today.
An Oakland County judge sentencing both Jennifer and James Crumbley to 10 to 15 years in prison. Terms she calls
reasonable and proportionate to the seriousness of the matter.
And convictions that stem from helping their now imprisoned son obtain a gun and for ignoring the warning signs that led to the deadly mass shooting at Oxford High School in 2021. The Crumbleys, ahead of sentencing, saying they're sorry.
I stand today not to ask for your forgiveness, as I know it may be beyond reach, but to express my sincerest apologies.
My heart is really broken for everybody involved.
It's the first of its kind case where the parents of a teen killer have been held responsible.
Fox's Jeff Manasso, a former assistant principal at elementary school in Newport News, Virginia, charged with felony child neglect more than a year after a 6-year-old boy brought a gun to school and shot and wounded his first-grade teacher. Ebony Park has been indicted by a special grand jury. She faces 8 felony counts, each of which is punishable by up to 5 years in prison. She and other school officials already face a $40 million negligence lawsuit from the teacher who was shot. The families of some of the hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza met with Vice President Harris and other top White House officials this afternoon. Rachel Goldberg Poland's child is being held.
It is horrible that innocent civilians in Gaza are suffering. And at the same time, you can also know that it is horrible and against international law for hostages to be held against their will.
The White House says the vice president told the families the U.S. is committed to reuniting them with their loved ones. America is listening to Fox News.
We used to argue about whose turn it was to clean the gutters, but then I had leaf filter gutter protection installed.
Wait, I told you leaf filter.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Investigating a homicide. I'm Sasha Nixon. Here's what's trending this hour. A confrontation between 2 people on the northeast side of Indianapolis was ultimately fatal. John Herrick reports.
And we've got children and families out here who are having to see this.
That's IMPD Lieutenant Shane Foley speaking Tuesday afternoon outside the Arborstone Apartments, which is not far from East 38th Street and North Post Road. He believes 2 people who knew each other were in a car, and the person in the driver's seat shot and killed someone else who was in the passenger seat and ran away. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A 17-year-old is facing charges as an adult for his role in a shooting last month that left 7 minors injured. The Marion County Prosecutor's Office says King Dennis is facing charges for dangerous possession of a firearm and criminal recklessness. But safety Julian Blackman recently signed a 1-year deal to stay with the Indianapolis Colts. On Tuesday, he said it's not ideal, but it could have been worse.
For me, I feel like my value is worth more than 1 year, but unfortunately, we all saw how the market went. So it was what I was dealt, and I'm happy with how it ended up.
Blackman is referring to the fact that several NFL teams cut their safeties this offseason, which means the market isn't paying safeties as much as he would like. Nevertheless, he says he's glad he's staying with the Colts. On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Now here's the forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
Scattered showers and isolated storms expected tonight into Wednesday morning with lows in the low 50s, and we'll see a more widespread round of rainstorms Wednesday afternoon to Wednesday night and Thursday. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Stephen Deanna for 93 WIBC.
There is no reason to live with achy joints. There's no reason to live with pain, and there's no reason not to seek out help. That help is at QC Kinetics in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and in Carmel. Under the leadership of National Medical Director Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, QC Kinetics can help you get rid of joint pain with no surgery, no drugs, and no steroids. That's right. These are no longer your best options. Regenerative medicine at QC Kinetics is transforming lives with innovative treatments that deliver lasting results. We're talking natural biologics, using your body's own power to repair and restore damaged joint tissue. Talk to QC Kinetics today. Get a free consultation. They even have Saturday hours, so you have no downtime at work. Call QC Kinetics today and tell them Tony Katz sent you. QC Kinetics is in Eagle Creek, in Greenwood, and in Carmel. Call today. 317-559-PAIN. That's 317-559-PAIN. QC Kinetics. 317-559-PAIN.
Did you know that April is Foot Health Awareness Month? Hi, this is Phoebe, and at the Good Feet store, we think every month you should be aware of your foot health. Your feet support everything you do. Why wouldn't you want to properly support your feet in return? Foot health starts with having great support in your shoes, and with a selection of over 300 different styles and sizes of arch supports, we can help you get back to wearing your nice dress shoes, stylish flats, or even sandals in comfort. Listen to Ava's real Good Feet story.
I love shoes. You find them in the store. You know, they like call you, but they hurt. The best ones hurt the worst. And you're walking around going, I don't want anyone to know that I'm not happy. Stuck in the arch supports, and I felt so much better. I'd say Good Feet help with all of my great shoes. They turned out to be something that actually works for me. My name is Ava, and that's my Good Feet story.
Don't overlook your feet. Make sure they get the care and attention they need so they can keep supporting you. Find the Good Feet store nearest you at goodfeet.com. We look forward to helping you find better foot health.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey, the Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Good evening and welcome to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. That's 93.1 FM out of Indianapolis. The live streams on Twitter, X, and youtube.com/WIBC. And the podcasts, well, you know, everywhere else. A lot to dig into, but there now appears to be the linchpin, the big, massive thing that the Biden administration is going to use amid record low polling numbers for the incumbent candidate in an election. This is going to fix it all for Biden. This is the magical miracle product. This is calling Bob the Builder in to fix it. Yes, we can. And it is abortion. That's right. And President Biden has used this before. He thinks that abortion is so unpopular in the United States that it will drive people en masse to the polls. This is the idea that abortion is like this top 3 American issue and that suburban women are going to like crawl out of every Starbucks and Michael's and rush to the polls with their pumpkin spice lattes this fall. And they're just going to slap that Biden button as hard as they can. And I'm not seeing it. And I'm not seeing it because I'm some kind of Trump absolutionist. The data just does not support President Biden winning re-election based on abortion. But that said, let's actually dive into why Biden thinks this is his big moneymaker item. When President Trump was in office, he appointed members to the Supreme Court that ended up revoking the status of Roe v. Wade, this kind of national ban on restrictions on abortion, this kind of restriction on any kind of bills banning abortion, and the issue returned to the states. And this was seen as a win for a lot of individuals in the pro-life movement. And he's used that in almost every single campaign ad that Donald Trump is going to pass laws banning abortion federally, but I'll veto anything. When he's like screaming at the sky, old man, crazy things. The problem is Donald Trump has come out and he's been a more moderate candidate on abortion than any other mainstream Republican for like the last 20 years. For the last 20 years, Donald Trump comes out and says like a 16-week ban maybe, but he said it's a states issue, that the states should be voting on this, which, by the way, is the legal answer. May not be the moral answer that you like, but it's the legal answer. And right now, given that Joe Biden is ostracizing huge portions of the moderate base in the country, again, there is no class of independent voters anymore who just doesn't know anything about either candidate and, gee, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. Right now, you have a large group of moderate Democrats and a large group of moderate Republicans who have not yet decided if they are going to go through the hassle to come out on Election Day and vote for Trump or vote for Biden. And Biden has been ostracizing a ton of the moderate left. He thinks that abortion, which is not necessarily a moderate left issue that drives people to the polls, that's going to save the whole campaign. Now, the right had some criticisms for Trump's comments. They've said, look, we want Trump to be more pro-life. And I don't disagree. I would love to see, Trump be more pro-life. After all, biologically and objectively, new DNA is indeed created at conception. At fertilization, that is brand new DNA that is not yours, and therefore new DNA means that it is indeed a human life. And you can argue the moral implications of that if you want, but biologically, scientifically, objectively, not having anything to do at all with faith or religion or a Bible whatsoever, yeah, it is kind of a human life. Sorry. So yeah, while I would like to see more pro-life legislation passed so things are more scientifically accurate and astute, I will remind everyone out there that Donald Trump doesn't actually bring laws through. It's who he appoints. The individuals who a president appoints to run the cabinets of the various bureaucratic agencies around the country that have this weird, massive amount of power, because we live in a bureaucracy. We no longer live in a pure constitutional republic. Those are the people who are going to make huge policy restrictions and regulations. And then, of course, Congress actually passing laws for Trump to sign, that kind of matters. So it really makes sense for Trump to kind of come out here and be the more moderate voice on this subject. And there's been a lot of mess today, at least on the media waves, because they say that Arizona's Supreme Court has ruled that its near total abortion ban can be upheld. And everyone is saying, oh, see, this is it. This is what's going to flip Arizona blue. This is it. This is Trump losing a swing state. No, anyone who tells you that has no idea how to read a poll. And I'm going to explain why. So if you're watching the live stream, check it out. This is a poll from the Pew Research Center, which shows Americans' top policy priorities in January, from January 16th to the 21st. And if you look at this, the economy, terrorism, money and healthcare stuff, that's in the top 4. Education is number 5. Abortion is not even on this list. Abortion is not a top issue for Americans in January. But let's look at a more recent poll. Maybe things have changed. According to a Gallup poll, abortion is also not in the top 10. And for one of the first times in United States history, actually, not just the economy, but immigration is topping the economy with a lot of American voters, especially in, you guessed it, border states. And not just border states, all swing states as well. If you take a look at this Minnesota 2024 presidential poll that was done by ABC5 up in Minnesota, that when you actually throw a third-party candidate, like in this instance, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who has promised to be much harsher on immigration, Minnesotans usually go for the third-party candidate over the Democrat. The last time a Republican governor was elected in Minnesota, it was because there was a third-party candidate on the presidential ballot. So if you're doing the math out there, abortion's not pulling Biden into the polls. And because RFK is kind of moderate on abortion and Trump is moderate on abortion, Biden's really not pulling people over. There's no like Trump out there going, yes, we're going to ban abortion. It's not there. And you know why it's not there? Because the Biden-Harris campaign would be playing that on a loop between now and Election Day. And it's just not happening. So it's okay. That's the strategy. So don't let Biden debate, which we'll be talking about a little bit more later this week, why the Biden not debating is honest to God Trump's fault. And then why looking at the Joe Biden campaign strategy, abortion and Hamas, like abortion in Palestine, in a desperate move to win the Zoomer and suburban woman vote, which he's not even pulling huge chunks of. And the very, very hyper-fundamentalist Muslim crowds in Michigan that aren't even representative of the vast majority of Muslims across the United States. That's the winning strategy. Interesting. We will see how that turns out. But as immigration continues to be a top priority, Reuters is now reporting that Biden is examining the power to shut down the U.S. border on his own. That's how bad the polls are, ladies and gentlemen. It has nothing to do with abortion. And Biden knows abortion and Hamas are not going to be his ticket to winning in November. So now Biden has finally come to grips with the fact that, yes, any U.S. president has the ability to lock down the border, basically for whatever the reason they want, by the way. On U.S. soil, the president of the United States can dispatch the National Guard anywhere, anytime, period. Since it was federalized in the 30s, the president of the United States can snap his fingers and National Guardsmen will show up wherever he so pleases. And he could definitely shut the border down right now. Laws are already on the books. Illegal immigration is, ding, 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 illegal. And for those of you individuals out there who may say, well, they're just migrants, we have these really beautiful things called ports of entry that are like doors on the border where you can go legally and emigrate. That's what Ellis Island was, by the way. It was a port of entry. If you washed up from Europe in the 1900s, just on the shores of South Carolina, you would be arrested. And do you know how I know that? Because we have records of people who tried to skirt Ellis Island and other ports of entry, and they were arrested. Ports of entry are there for a reason. The laws on the books are already there, and Biden might end up actually taking action on the border. But if he takes action on the border, then Republicans will have the best bat in history to beat him with, which is, why didn't you close this one sooner? And it's not over yet, because now we come to the foreign policy and security of the United States at home and abroad. And this is where things get really dicey for the president, because the optics are not just bad, they're not just terrible. It's like someone smeared mud and other unmentionable things on the lens of the camera. Stick around, we'll dig in. It's the Tony Kinnacast here on 93 WIBC.
Kendall and Casey.
Now, this spring is here. The seasons of allergies are upon us. Wow. We're on the rise even more.
So choppy, slurring, that one, or brew beer?
Beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes. I wonder.
What is he even saying?
Well, he sounds buzzed.
Kendall and Casey, weekdays 9 till noon on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros. And a thank you to our loyal customers for making our agency a national sales leader for the 7th straight year. We recently saved a family of 4 over $500 monthly when compared to their ACA plan. You know it's still Obamacare, right? We've recently saved a 61-year-old retiring couple over $600 when compared to their COBRA plan. Breaking news. We are now able to offer health insurance to employer groups of all sizes with 2 of the largest insurers in the Midwest. We'll be here when you need us. Quoting my favorite president, what the heck do you have to lose? We can help. As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Call Ron or Terry at 317-563-0868. That's 317-563-0868. Or go to rragency.org. That's rragency.org. A health plan managed and chosen by you, not the government.
Hi, this is Denny Smith for Exercise Inc. A lot of folks give up on their bodies in their 40s or 50s. Statistically, we gain 1.5 pounds every year past 50, and it's usually a tough slog to fight that. 18 years ago, I took a friend's recommendation and I went to Exercise Inc. for one of their free consultations. Me? I didn't want to get heavy. I wanted to stay trim and in shape, and that was really a struggle. 18 years ago, I went, and 18 years later, I'm still going every week. They've helped me to reach and maintain my health and fitness goals, and they do that with specific strength training in only 20 minutes a week. You've just got to try this health and exercise approach, and the consultation is free. My guess is that, like me, you'll be skeptical for the first couple of weeks, and then it happens. You'll feel better, you'll probably lose some weight, and you'll probably look better too. Go to exerciseinc.com today and sign up for a free consultation. Avon, Brownsburg, Zionsville, Greenwood, now in Fishers too. exerciseinc.com.
I'm Darren Andrews from We Grow Hair Indy, and 18 years ago, I got my hair back.
I'm Rob, and 2 years ago, I got my hair back. Let this be your year to get your hair back and get your confidence back. Go to WeGrowHairIndy.com right now. We Grow Hair Indy has the multi-unit hair grafting hair transplant. That was the procedure that was best for me. Their easy 30-minute PRP and laser treatments fit into any man or woman's schedule. Find out which procedure is right for you. Call 317-522-2995 for your free hair and scalp evaluation.
I'm Rick DeMolin, former professional football player. I got my hair back. Hey, Barry Krause, #1 draft pick. I got my hair back.
Join me and thousands of others and get your hair back. Call 317-522-2995 or visit WeGrowHairIndy.com. That's 317-522-2995. This year, get your hair back. Get your confidence back.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, Get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age. I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
If you see me stopped in the McDonald's drive-thru, just staring at the menu with my "what should I order" face, don't interrupt. It's the most important decision I'll make all day.
Decide on delicious with buy one, get one for $1. Now with the hot and spicy McChicken, McDouble, or small fries. Price and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal. Valid for product of equal or lesser value.
The Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Feels like I'm losing it.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on the on 93 WIBC. And I got to be honest, there are a few things in politics that are worse than bad optics. And that, of course, is a shame. Really bad policy should be the worst part about politics, right? When someone passes a bad bill or there's some kind of garbage thing in it, you'll find that a lot of staffers and that a lot of congressmen are not actually worried about the bad policy being passed. They're worried about the optics. Ooh, this looks really bad for Biden. Ooh, this looks really bad for Trump. Unfortunately, for a lot of people in the career political industry, there has been a growing trend over the last decade in which the optics are much worse for a different reason. And I've been asked a couple of times, why is the establishment losing ground? After all, they have all of this money, they have this institutional credibility. And the reason the establishment groups, those who have been in politics for 50, 60 years, who have passed a lot of kind of post-Cold War policy in the United States, the reason they are losing such huge chunks of ground across the United States, on both the left and the right. The left is losing the party to these radical kind of Marxists, and the right is losing a lot of its party to populists. Why? Well, with the advent of social media, all of the really ugly things that can look terrible in optics are on social media, easily accessible by anybody ever. And it's a lot easier to keep track of events and how close they are to preceding and ancillary events. And let me explain what I'm talking about here. So the Army Corps of Engineers has been dispatched by the President of the United States to sail over to the Mediterranean Sea and build a temporary pier, which is no small feat, in an extremely dangerous environment for the people residing in the Gaza Strip. These supplies are almost certainly going to be stolen by Hamas, like they have been every single other time. Again, this is from the testimonies of people in Gaza. And it is an extremely dangerous situation when you send American servicemen over to an area where they regularly chant "Death to America" in Arabic, explicitly. So that's a stupid decision. And it gets even worse, because Biden made the decision to send these individuals over, and the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore, one of the main arteries over in Baltimore that was hit by a cargo container ship that destroyed that major artery. Here's the issue, folks. While Biden has said the federal government would be paying for the reconstruction of the Francis Scott Key Bridge, everyone cannot help but notice that we are far more concerned as a country with going over to places where people openly hate us and despise us, and we are building bridges for them, and piers, and rebuilding infrastructure. But the Army Corps of Engineers hasn't been dispatched to Francis Scott Key Bridge. And by the way, the reason I point this out is that there are few groups that are more competent than the Army Corps of Engineers. Combat engineers and the Army engineers in general are one of the most brilliant groups of individuals ever to grace the military, period. The can-do attitude of the Army Corps of Engineers can conjure incredible projects out of thin air. And quite honestly, I would like to see them put their skills to the test here for Americans with the Francis Scott Key Bridge. After all, the feds are paying for it anyway. So why are we taking bids and waiting months and months and months, which you know it's going to take that long, if not several years, for the feds to assign and award a contract to several firms that probably did backroom deals when we could send the Army Corps of Engineers in, have a real American pride moment, and actually rebuild the bridge? No, sorry. We're actually sending them over to harm's way because, God forbid, we actually keep American troops safe. We're going to send them into an area to build a temporary pier for supplies that are going to be stolen anyway. And people wonder why the president and the establishment's foreign policy aims are so unpopular. And it doesn't just stop there, because there is a huge issue regarding Ukraine funding. Day ending in Y. President Zelensky of Ukraine has sent out a major warning to Congress saying that Ukraine might fall if the United States does not continue to provide boatloads of aid. And here again is the issue. We have never stated what the goal of the aid to Ukraine is. Never. There has not been a federal official that has specifically stated the goals of what the Ukraine aid is for. Now, the goobers out there, as we love to enjoy the company of, will say, well, it's for defending Ukraine against Russia. Yes, I'm glad that you're here with us for understanding that basic truth. But what does that mean, to defend Ukraine against Russia? Just forever? Just sending billions of dollars over to Ukraine for eternity as long as they're at an active war with Russia? I guess until Russia gets tired? Many of you must not know the history of the Russian people, who are more than happy to throw people at any kind of target with hundreds of thousands dead until they achieve their aims. And given the Ukrainian war's progression, they are getting closer and closer to joining NATO, according to our Secretary of State, which would immediately put the United States in a shooting war with the with the third most powerful nuclear power on the face of the earth, behind China and the United States. There's no policy here. And we're also finding out, by the way, that the Biden administration has just admitted, this is an exclusive report over from Bradley Devlin at AmConMac, that the Biden administration has just admitted it has massively undercounted Ukraine aid. So the United States has actually spent $14 billion more in foreign aid to Ukraine than it has been claiming for months and months and months. Guys, this doesn't look good. Doesn't look good, guys. And by the way, when the president of the United States is desperately trying to please the individuals in Michigan, in Dearborn, Michigan, again, the hyper fundamentalist Muslim crowd, usually Shia Muslims, who are chanting death to America in Dearborn, Michigan, that's the group that he's catering to. And of course, the White House released a very soft-handed condemnation of it, but they didn't actually condemn the ideology that they're trying to please with their foreign policy nonsense. But we're going to eternally fund these conflicts without a clear set of goals and aims. And he's doing this with Israel too. Israel needs you to change your behavior. And Israel asks, well, how do you want us to change your behavior? And what are the specific things you want? And the United States doesn't actually communicate what we want foreign policy-wise. Do you know why the United States does not communicate its foreign policy aims anymore? Because in 2014, President Barack Obama drew a red line in the sand in Syria. And they said, do not cross this red line. Do not do it. Because if you do, then the United States will have to act. And then guess what? The red line was crossed. And then do you know what President Obama did? You guessed it, nothing. He did nothing, because he's a coward, and so is his vice president. The same guy that actually didn't retaliate on the bombing that killed American soldiers as he was cowardly pulling out from Afghanistan and leaving a ton of equipment to the Taliban, and ended up, bombing a family instead. The same president who telegraphed our attacks toward the Houthis, who had been sinking international trade and putting Americans at risk, who has ignored completely the hostages, the American hostages that are still held by Hamas. Biden's a coward. And unfortunately for him, and fortunately for us, this is incredibly transparent. He can get out there and yell in the State of the Union address and shake his pallid, vein-showing fists as much as he prefers. But unfortunately for him, we have a record of the United States reacting very poorly to local and international events. And it's not going to get any better. He desperately wants it to get better. But instead of moving to the moderate and actually closing the border today and fully illustrating American political games abroad and making clear, definitive, you must not cross this line, this is what we're going to do regarding funding, don't mess with me or we'll erase you, actually strong and normal foreign policy that is above a fourth grade education level. Instead of doing that, he's going to cater to people in Dearborn, Michigan chanting "Death to America." He's going to cater to people in Gaza chanting "Death to America." And he's going to cater to the other far left special interest groups who are far more concerned about sex toys in schools and silly, nonsensical climate change policy, blaming the eclipse and earthquakes on climate change, than he actually is about appealing to Americans. And that is why President Biden's America Last policy is going to cost him the election. We'll be back in just a second. This is the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
How would you like to get a 13% bonus when you invest your money? And not only do you get a 13% bonus, you'll also get an annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years.
Hey, it's Kendall and Casey. Discover how you can get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. Learn more from the retirement guy we trust, Bill Demery in Indy. Just call 317-932-9912.
This is such a no-brainer for me. You get an upfront 13% bonus plus a competitive annual return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years. And it's backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world.
So call Bill now at 317-932-9912. 317-932-9912.
Past performance is no guarantee of future returns.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and the allergy season is getting a jump start on all of us, and we really need to get ready to fight back. How about having Zero Res help you take on dust and dander and allergens and even bacteria in your carpets with a great spring deal? Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $139 and take $75 off your air duct cleaning to get that true spring cleaning feel. It's unbelievable and kind of scary just how much of the uglies are in our carpets, and it's because those carpets are the largest air filter in the home. The Zero Res service is easy to line up. You can go online at ZeroResIndy.com. Do the scheduling at your convenience. And don't forget the ZR water difference. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving things really clean. Now mention WIBC. Get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at $139, plus you'll get $75 off the air duct cleaning too. Call 317-388-5141 or book things online at ZeroResIndy.com.
What people suffering from nasal breathing, snoring, and sleep apnea problems want is for their issues to be fixed. And at Advent, that is precisely what we do. Here, there are no Band-Aids, but there is a thorough approach to get to the root of your problem. And in tens of thousands of cases, finding simple solutions, which are undeniably effective, have made remarkably positive impacts on people's lives. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. For years, patients have been traveling literally from around the world to come to us to find what no one else has been able to give them. And that's why now we've come closer to you.
If your quality of life has been diminished because of nasal breathing, snoring, or sleep apnea problems, and you don't know who to turn to, go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Hey, Pat Sullivan here for Hope Plumbing. Spring has sprung and summer is right around the corner, which means family and friends and food galore. Do you know if your garbage disposal is ready for all that fun ahead? During the month of April, my friends at Hope Plumbing are offering a $100 off an upgraded garbage disposal. That's right, upgrade your current garbage disposal and get $100 off. Call Hope Plumbing or visit them online at hopeplumbing.com or give them a call at 641-HOPE and get ahead of the summer fun.
Michaelis presents Password. The word is basement.
Wet. Rain. Leaky. Faucet. Stinky. Socks. Moldy. Underwear. No, it's basement. Really moldy underwear. Well, sometimes.
Ew. Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Make it Michaelis. Michaelis.
Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake Kitchen and Bath Cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
All right, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIPC and the Consumer Choice Center. Stephen, what are you watching?
Tony, I am a glutton for punishment as a child who grew up in the... I haven't even gotten to the joke yet, Tony.
All right. Starting off with the depression. Keep going.
Man, you just I've got my punchline here. The joke is Jon Stewart. No, I grew up in the 2000s. I still like to see what Jon Stewart has to say about stuff, and so I turn over this Monday to watch Jon Stewart as he does his weekly now hosting gig on The Daily Show. And he does a pretty good comedy block on AI and some of the false promises that it's going to change our lives and make them better overnight. And then what does he do? He brings on for 20 minutes the least funny person in the world, Lena Khan, the Biden chair of the FTC, who her entire personality is basically walking out of the house in the morning, looking up into the sky and going, monopolies! There's a monopoly everywhere. Monopoly here, monopoly there. And it's the most strange interview, Tony. I have to tell you. So, Lena...
Why do we keep doing this though? Like, why is it we just have late night? I get late night talk show hosts, but they used to bring on like funny people, and you would bring on an official very rarely, but they were expected to be funny and personable and like entertaining.
That's right. And this is what's so interesting about it to me, because Jon Stewart and John Oliver, both veterans of the Daily Show, now I guess they're rivals between HBO and Comedy Central. All they do is carry water for the regime, if you will. All they do is just find ways to cover for whatever the government is doing at any given time, which is exactly what they did not do, of course, in the 90s and 2000s under Clinton and under Bush. And he just brings on Lena Khan, who's incredibly controversial, has been dunked on by the New York Times, Washington Post, New York Magazine, The New Yorker, all of them questioning whether or not this person is good at her job at all. And Jon Stewart gives her the hero treatment. It's a bizarre 20 minutes of discussion where he basically heralds her as some kind of antitrust, trust-busting hero of the American people, and allows her to lie about her record of breaking up monopolies and being able to identify consumer threats.
And that's one of the things that really gets me, is because I've looked over some of the records over the last 30, 40 years about trust busting and actually looking into this monopoly disillusion. And the cases that have been brought forward, I think that looking back, even many of the left-leaning columnists who also analyze that kind of economic data only think that maybe one of them was even close to being a monopoly. It's like, it reminds me of The Princess Bride. It's like when the guy says inconceivable, like every 3.5 minutes. And like monopoly, that word, I do not think it means what you think it means.
Exactly. And so he asks her, how do you think about what a monopoly means? And she goes, well, there's some old ways of thinking about it, that might be market share or the boundaries of any given market for a company, like Amazon, Apple, whatever. But she thinks that the most proper way to gauge a monopoly is behavior. Does it engage in certain kinds of behaviors that she doesn't like or that harms consumers?
Wait a minute. You mean like behaviors like protecting your property and your ideas so that you profit from the thing you made?
Which is why she considers Apple to be a monopolistic company, despite, last time I checked, like 50% of Americans use Androids, even though I try to convince them to use Apples and stop being savages. There is you're one of the savages, aren't you?
You know what? My Android, which did the smartphone thing in the way that Apple did it after Apple announced it, took those very same principles that Steve Jobs launched and ended up making a better product that had a lot of features, like USB-C charging, like waterproofing, dust-proofing, durability, contact sharing. The features list goes on and on before Apple did. And so here's where I'm going to throw you the bone.
People don't listen. This is propaganda.
Well, here's the bone to throw Apple users. That doesn't sound like Apple's monopolizing anything to me. Well, their iMessage are blue instead of green. So why am I expected to make my business compatible with other businesses. That is beyond insane.
Yeah, the FTC and the DOJ essentially want Apple to be making products for their competitors. They have accused Apple of monopolistic behavior in that they basically allow all of their devices to sync. So MacBook, the Apple Watch, the iPhone, that all of these different products talk to one another and are very easily pairable, and really don't pair well with a Samsung watch. A Samsung watch is not going to link up with your iPhone quite like an Apple Watch is. And
that's okay.
That's literally what consumers want.
And that's totally fine though. Like it's okay. I have a MacBook right here for the show. I have this little Magic keyboard, the one of the Apple ones, and they sync really well together. I have other Apple things that they're really fluid. And I used to have an iPhone and an Apple Watch, and it was nice how seamless they were. But I don't need everything, period, to be seamless all the time. And that's a convenience, not a necessity, which the FTC doesn't seem to know the difference between.
Certainly not under Lena Khan. And this is a change from the FTC of years past. And Jon Stewart, again, just sort of pretending as if everything is going well. He asks her if she's had any successes with antitrust. And the only thing that she cites is the layup case against Martin Shkreli, the pharma bro, about barring him from operating in the pharmaceuticals business ever again. But this was a case that actually preceded her, and she is just able to close the case a month or two ago. And so she has staked her entire tenure and reputation on breaking up Amazon, Meta, and Google, and no questions about whether or not she's been able to successfully bring compelling cases on that, or the fact that she tried to stop the merger between Microsoft and Activision Blizzard because the FTC, I kid you not, claimed that it would be a monopolistic behavior for Microsoft and Activision Blizzard to have Call of Duty, Call of Duty, the video game, and not possibly share it with like other platforms, not allow it to be played on the PlayStation, etc.
I hate people. I hate people. People are so stupid, and it bothers me. And I swear, the higher up you go in the echelons of government, the dumber people, like you have to be dumb to fail that successfully.
Tony, a government lawyer was in federal court making an argument about consumers being harmed by not having exclusive skins for playing Call of Duty. We're talking about avatars and body armor and helmets.
My virtual character's shirt is not purple. Can you believe the oppression?
Yeah.
Like Teddy Roosevelt, the original antitrust buster, like the man who is the guy who was, my least favorite economic policy of his personally, but that guy, he would be not just rolling in his grave, I mean, spinning like an electromagnet in his grave to hear trust busting talked about this at this present time.
We must stop Microsoft from offering exclusive Hawaiian shirt skins for Call of Duty players that PlayStation users don't get. We must stop this, Tony.
Okay, so we've got about a minute left. I want you to tell me, you have the entire control over scheduling Jon Stewart's show next week. You get to decide who gets on the air. What kind of guests are you bringing on to a late night show so that people watch it?
Oh my gosh. Well, it does seem to me that the people who are getting the most attention these days are YouTubers, streamers, and those type of content creators. So who I would love to see, left-wing streamer Shoe Head from YouTube. She is one of my absolute favorites who, kind of considers herself to be, a socialist, but a little bit red-pilled on some cultural issues that the left has gone overboard with. I would pay actual money to watch Shoe Head on Daily Show. That'd be so cool.
I think that the Graham show over in the UK, they do such an excellent job at bringing on celebrities and actually bringing them on in he brings them on in like really weird mixes, and then has them all like talk to each other and like brings up things from their career and ways that they're starstruck with one another. And I think that works because, again, there's no politics to it. It's just funny. It's just comedy. It's enjoyable.
No, I think it would be better if we do PR for government officials to make them look cool.
Hey, look, I'm just glad that Pravda finally made it to Comedy Central.
Me too.
Oh, what a mess. Stephen Kent, Whatcha Watchin? Thanks so much for joining us.
Tony Kennett, thanks.
This is the Tony Kennett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties. Taxes.
We'll take that. That's all I had left.
Death. And Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you?
Now, you know, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
The long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465 will be down to one lane. Should reopen
mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIPC.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
According to a 2023 Gallup poll, 71% of non-retired adults are worried about retirement saving. At Howard Bailey Financial, we don't believe retiring with confidence should be guesswork. In fact, our mission is to help you gain clarity and purpose and elevate meaning in your life through personal and practical financial strategies. That's why we provide our Retire with Purpose toolkit at no cost. In it, you'll find valuable information on minimizing taxes, maximizing Social Security, and building a retirement income you won't outlive. To receive your complimentary toolkit, text CLARITY to 866-482-9559. Take a step toward a more confident retirement with Howard Bailey Financial and text CLARITY to 866-482-9559.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
PA Jewelers in Brownsburg is your place for fine jewelry, custom pieces, one-of-a-kind pieces, vintage pieces, and also your place to sell jewelry. 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms. You have old jewelry from grandma or jewelry you don't wear anymore? Come sell it for top dollar at PA Jewelers. I've sold jewelry there. My wife has. You're going to love the prices. PA Jewelers inside Premier Arms, 3754 South Green Street in Brownsburg, premierarms.com.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 free. Plus, free upgrade to triple pane glass, and they'll double your energy tax credit. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Tune in Saturdays 9 to 1 for the Home and Garden Show for advice and fun. Brought to you by Michaelis. Water, storms, fire, and wet basements. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our Rhino Shield has been on for 8 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
We need each other because every someone needs someone else.
We need each other because when we work together, we can do so much more.
We connect more children with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. And that's what Child Fund is all about.
Because when you make someone's world better, you make everyone's world better.
Child Fund, because we need each other.
Learn more at childfund.org. That's childfund.org.
The Phone Ready quiz from the American Academy of Pediatrics will help you decide if you and your child are ready for their first phone. Go to healthychildren.org/phone ready quiz.
Overcoming drug addiction is difficult. The road to recovery is different for everyone. Find the path to recovery that works for you. Learn more at cdc.gov/stopoverdose.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
You're listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIPC.
Back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. I just got back today from a lovely drive down I-65. No, I'm lying. There has never been a drive up or down I-65 between Indianapolis and Chicago that was fun. It is a terrible, terrible road that should be a minimum of 3 lanes the entire way. By the way, just for the record, Allison, when I eventually do run for governor on a platform that will be very different than all of the other people who've ever run for governor, I'm going to run on making every interstate in the state of Indiana by law at least 3 lanes at all times. Can I get an amen?
Okay, I think you could get some votes with that.
Yeah. Just 3 lanes the whole way. We'll expand the overpasses. We'll rebuild the bridges. I don't care. That is a far better way to spend Hoosiers' money than all the other stuff that we do. 3 lanes. But on my way back, I noticed the lines of cars. Because I'm sure, like many of you out there, everyone was so excited for the eclipse. And I was excited for the eclipse back in 2017. We were not allowed over at Knightstown Intermediate School to go outside. They were afraid my students, my junior high students, were all going to blind themselves like forever. So no one was allowed to go outside and look at it, and it passed while we were in school, which was dumb. And then this year they closed school. And I don't know if you remember this, Allison, but Governor Holcomb called a state of emergency because apparently people were going to come from far off lands like Illinois to Indiana, and they were going to all sit on our lawns. We had people that were creating defense plans. Tell you what, Allison, did you hear about the grocery store calls?
The calls? No.
That people were called to go to the grocery store and they were supposed to get food to last throughout the eclipse because otherwise it was going to be stripped bare like a wasteland.
Oh, yes. It was very pandemic-y.
It was like Blizzard. Blizzard, I better go get the bread, eggs, and the bread, you get the eggs and the milk because I guess everyone makes French toast during a blizzard or the eclipse. And some people came to Indiana, but you know what? Everything was fine. Was there traffic? Yes, there was traffic. I saw people on Facebook that were updating me late into the night after I was done with the media walkthrough at the RNC convention up in Milwaukee, preparing for that this summer. I was watching people say, wow, there's a red line all the way from Indianapolis to Chicago as people are going home after the eclipse. That's true. But did you hear about any towns getting overrun?
No, in fact, I think most towns were pretty excited, if not underwhelmed a little bit from all the people.
Yeah, they were very overwhelmed because it was fear-mongered. I mean, it's an eclipse. All right, it's cool. But I'm gonna really lay it out here because I thought of this before. The first thing I did after the whole eclipse thing is I called my dad. And my dad is like, this is the stupidest thing anyone's excited for. And I agree. I am the science teacher. We walked outside of the Pfizer Forum where the Milwaukee Bucks play, and we all put on the glasses that were provided to us by the RNC, and we watched the 75%. We watched the moon go in front of the sun. And it is a cool event. Again, as the science teacher here at WIBC, it is a cool event. Is it worth shutting down the entire day, missing school, closing everything down, like it's the end of the movie Cars and they're all shutting everything down for the 3-way race for Dynaco in California? No, it's not. It's cool, but the fear-mongering, they had us thinking this was Y2K all over again. Make sure you get a full tank. Did you see all the billboard? Get a full tank. Traffic is going to stand still for 3 days.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of warning signs about the gas and everything. But I do think I am glad they closed everything down because it was kind of nice for everyone to actually be excited about something positive for once and come together. It was kind of refreshing a little bit.
I do. And I think that's a good thing. It's look, if you guys want to slow things down, by the way, that's what things like Easter are for. That's what actual holidays used to be about in this country, was that we would all kind of slow down for a day and we would all collectively be enjoying something, maybe not all together, not the entire population of Indiana converging on Indianapolis, but it was just holidays were nice. And this was one of those impromptu impromptu is in there's nothing on the regular physical calendar for it. But something that came up, everyone kind of slowed down and it was nice. It was enjoyable. You like seeing hotels get filled. You watch the eclipse, you hang out with some family, and that's, the whole thing. It doesn't need to be chaos. And that's kind of, I don't know, if I had a point, which mostly this is just kind of laughing at the state of emergency that was declared for a solar eclipse. But, it is nice to advertise something. I don't think that we need to start shutting things down every time it happens, though. I don't just mean an eclipse, but anything. It seems like after COVID, schools are willing to close in the blink of an eye for any reason. Have you noticed this? That schools are closing for fog now?
Oh,
We're
sure.
getting fog delays, are shutting schools down. I had this farmer named JB Chapman who used to drive my bus to school when I was a kid. And I'm sure that man had oars in the bus to row through the fog if need be, because we didn't shut down for fog. Get out of here. And now it's like, oh, the moon's in the sky, so we're shutting school down. Why?
Yeah, they definitely, I mean, e-learning has changed the schools. Let's just say that.
And as a teacher, e-learning is just so... I wrote a paper when I was in grad school that was called The Advent of Technology Replacing the Educator. And it was basically talking about how in the future, as e-learning became more popular, this is before COVID, but I said that it is going to ruin a lot of education because just because there's a screen and like the programs look flashy, it tricks parents into thinking that there's actually real learning being done. And that's not the case. Removing individuals from the play environment and the laying around and goofing around environment, which is 100% owned by kids or should be owned by kids, and then putting them in a place where they learn and like start to develop, you know, adult patterns and tendencies, that's incredibly important. And when I look at how now we've moved from just like slight delays, but you need to be in school, to just, well, they've got a Chromebook, have them log on and complete this fill in the blank, connect the dots worksheet that we're not really grading anyway. You know, it's a waste of time, and making a mountain out of every molehill today, I swear is just the most unnecessary thing. The buying the bread, the milk, and the eggs, and seeing pictures on Facebook. I have my Eclipse French toast materials. Why? It's just not worth the time. Sorry, there's a comment from a guy named Fred who watches the stream quite often. He says, squirrel farts and they have to close the schools. And he's right. Anything will close the schools these days. When we were, you were in school about the same time I was. Do you remember when the Colts made it to the Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they did actually put a 2-hour delay on the next day because the Super Bowl ran late and we beat the Bears and we were so excited and they gave us a delay the next morning. If that happened these days, I swear we'd close school for a week just because, like, why? Oh, it's an emergency. You don't want kids running out in front of traffic because the Super Bowl happened.
They just get the whole day off in celebration.
It's so unnecessary all the time. Well, those things all said, thank everyone for tuning in this evening. It's a pleasure to be back with you. You can find our stuff over on the podcast services, searching the Tony Kinnett Cast. We'll be back tomorrow because God knows it's going to get worse. Thanks for tuning in. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
There is no reason to